this episode, we're going light and easy on politics. We will focus on our quest to place ourselves notably on the world map. Armenia is an ancient nation. We have a lot to offer the world. Ancient Christian traditions, even pagan traditions under a Christian dressing. But the search for a new cultural narrative is ongoing, for we need to offer the world a new vision of what we stand for, something they can relate to. Producer Shant Petrosian, a 4-time Emmy winner, joins the quest for an up-to-date cultural identity. Shant, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
There's an information gap between our small nation in the backyard of Europe and the rest of the international community. What would you say is the best way to bridge it?
I think for my expertise, I would say it's storytelling. It's the narrative. I think what we struggle here, both on a government level, but even on individual levels, when there's success stories, how do we tell the story? What kind of narrative are we shaping to make the international community care? For us at the Armenia Project, our priority is to make sure that it's relevant, it's timely, it's universal. So whenever we talk to anybody, whether it's a government agency, a non-government agency, someone who has a startup, we always ask them, tell me what makes you or your project or your product special, and how does that relate to somebody in the US, someone in France, someone even in Asia, right? And so for us, it's really important that we strengthen the narrative. Even when we say small country, well, Belgium is a small country, right? And yet people talk about Belgium. Estonia is a comparatively small country, and people talk about Estonia. So I do think it's really important for us to start shaping a stronger narrative, telling stories that are not just for our Armenian audience. And the purpose that the Hovnanian Foundation created TAP, the Armenia Project, is to make sure that we bring international journalists to tell our story, wherever we possibly can get it to be written about. Because it's tough. It's tough. The international community has a really hard time caring about what's happening here. We're one of many countries, but sadly we are one of the countries that people just don't care it exists. A lot of people think it's Albania
or Romania.
Exactly.
You said wine and tech put us on the map. Why?
Yeah, I think those are two things that are popular globally right now, right? Everyone is trying to be the first, the best, the newest. Armenia's wine region and Armenia's wineries and the winemaking in the last 10 years has far surpassed those who've been more notable in making it. So I give credit to the Kushes and the Van Ardys and, Zora and Alexander. All of these wineries are putting us on the map. We work to bring journalists in every field: tech, sports, travel, wine, gastro, environment, geopolitics. So we want to cover the entire spectrum. But I tell you, the minute we mention wine, tourism, or tech, it lights up. So we just last week we had published in Forbes magazine, and it was really nice because we had brought that journalist
Great job.
here. Thank you. It was a big accomplishment for us. We've done Lonely Planet, we've done LA Times. We do focus on English-speaking press media right now, but we do help. We have an Italian journalist coming in next week that we're helping, making sure she's covering geopolitics and Artsakh and refugees. So we try to help wherever we can, but we do find Europe cares. Europe has more of an understanding and more of an interest. I know I was traveling in Croatia last year, and the taxi driver driving me to the airport from Dubrovnik knew about Artsakh, knew about our war. But if you ask anyone in the United States, I would say it would be such a minimal percentage. And that has to do with, obviously, when it comes to geopolitics, Artsakh was ignored. There's no denying it. We didn't even get 1% of coverage that Gaza, Israel have, or Ukraine and Russia. But I think it had to do with people don't also care about Azerbaijan really either. However, they do master the art of caviar diplomacy. And they have money to spend in public relations and strategic comms, which I wish Armenia would embrace a little bit more and more.
The quest for a narrative that others will relate to, still shaping. Under coverage, especially worldwide, especially in English, is a major challenge. No coverage is no attempt to open up to the world. Shant is relentlessly candid. With limited resources, Armenia's treasures are buried under a thick layer of oblivion or just a tag of the Armenian genocide. But we have so much more to offer. I would agree that the geopolitical realities around the country cannot be ignored, and for a long time we've been perceived as a country of internal safety, but of external threats. Now that the peace agreement has been pre-signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan, would you say there is this awareness that this is the right time to move or to travel to Armenia?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, I don't know how the peace treaty is going to play out. Iran's going to play a role in that. But I think you said it perfectly. I think that the internal struggles are something that has to change, obviously. We have to fix what's going on here first at home. I think the external struggles, a lot of that's going to play out politically. And sometimes we have no control in how that will end up, right? I do think that Armenia is in a very crucial moment. It's at a very pivotal moment of really, after 35 years of independence, in my opinion, for landing on its feet the way some of the other post-Soviet countries did. I do think my colleagues who I work with here, who are local Armenians, who are incredibly brilliant women, I'm so lucky to work with Gayana and Greta, they don't like that there is a post-Soviet narrative still out there. But I feel a lot of the policy, a lot of the protocols feel very Soviet to an American. Even Russians who have moved here for 2-3 years say it's more Soviet than Russia.
How about the
is,
Trump
right?
route? President Trump seems to have a different opinion of Armenia. He even said the roads are better than in Washington. How would you comment?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to comment on Trump, to be very honest. I'm just here to make sure that everything and anything that happens in Armenia, the good and sometimes even the bad, but if there needs to be improvement, like with environment, next year COP17 is going to be the largest international event. We need to get internally fixed. We need to show, our people need to show that they care about it. I was at Lake Sevan with a group of friends last weekend, and the trash was all over the shore. That's not a beautiful destination. And if we want people to, to come and enjoy Armenia, we have to look after it. The burning of the trash is a problem. The ecosystem, the environmental climate is having a major decline, and we're hosting an environmental conference. So for me right now, my goal is to make sure for the next 12 months to amplify stories of people who are doing green, or to encourage people to go green and to realize what they're doing to their own homeland and their backyard, right? That's something that really has to shift. So I'm going to put aside the U.S. politics and what's happening outside or on the borders. I just want to know what we can do here and how we can get people to care, when it comes to international coverage.
An unusual dosage of honesty. Let me put it this way. Your profile says 4-time Emmy Award and winning producer and storyteller. What's the story you're telling about Armenia now? And shall we expect an Emmy for it?
Well, Emmy is television work, so there won't be any awards for the work we're doing. I think it's
what
every
a pity.
time, yeah, right? I do think the story what we're telling now is Armenia matters. Bottom line, Armenia has a voice and has a story, and we are trying to celebrate the successes and the achievements, whether it's the PixArts and the service titans of the world, or whether it's the wineries that I mentioned. These are that industry is doing so well for us, or whether even just tourism. Tourism is on such an incredible rise. I mean, over the last 5 to 8 years, it used to only be Armenian diasporan tourists or Russian tourists. Now we're seeing Italian and German and Japanese and Spanish. And I think that is becoming such an exciting opportunity for us. But we also want to make sure that, God forbid, that there's another war, another attack. God forbid that there is another natural disaster, an earthquake, that, our lives do matter. And and for us, in addition to getting the stories published, our priority at TAP is to make sure that we're building relations with journalists in international media. So media relations is as much of our priority, as well as strategic communications, as well as making sure that when Armenia is presented outside, the story is told right, and it's told accurately, whether it's good or bad. It's not that it's always positive, because it's not always positive. And so I think one of the key things, like I said earlier, is that we have to focus on strategic communications and having a unified narrative rather than such a fragmented one.
You're not exactly painting a very attractive picture of Armenia. Why would those who are interested in visiting want to do that?
Oh, I don't think that it's unattractive. I think it's a growing nation, and it's one of the words that we use a lot is the potential. So it's a nation of potential, right? I think that there are enough great stories here. It's just that we have to now tie that to the concerns on a global level, on a universal level. But I think people are coming. I do see a shift. I mean, we're bringing, just our small little organization is bringing 20 journalists a year. Each of those are being published in major newspapers. We featured Kataro making wine in Vox Media. We've got Forbes, we've got Lonely Planet, we've got LA Times. So we are getting coverage. It's just, we just want to slow build. We have a long-term game plan. Nothing's going to happen overnight. So there's nothing wrong in admitting there's room to grow, and admitting that we've made mistakes, but we're learning from those mistakes is the key narrative, that we are making changes and we are making strides towards improvement. Armenia is wonderful. I mean, more of the tourists who come here, I think, feel that it has been an incredible eye-opening experience. Everyone will tell you about the hospitality, the kindness, the safety. Like, they can't believe they can let their children play in parks until 10 o'clock at night and there's no concern. Those are some of the beautiful things in Armenia, and we celebrate those. We hold a microphone and we scream that from the tops of the rooftop, but we want to make noise on a 360 strategic level. And there are things that need to change. There's no denying that.
The Armenian Project abbreviation, TAP, indirectly implies that we are just one tap away from the world. Is it how it stands logistically speaking? Are we just one tap away?
I think tap, it's taken on so many levels. You can be tapping on a keyboard, right? A journalist cannot do anything without a typewriter or a computer, so you're tapping. I don't know if we're one tap away. I think that we are, the idea of the Armenia Project is more to, like I said, build relationships with international journalists so they know we exist, so it matters. Because when they've come here, like the Forbes writer, she said she did not expect to be so blown away by the organization that we did, by the warmth, by the tour guide that took her around. She still raves about that, right? The talent pool is here, and she is absolutely she was stunned by it, and that's why she gave it. And the title of it says, Armenia deserves the crown of being the birthplace of wine. We know there are other countries, some of which are our neighbors, that claim they are the birthplace, right? But
Georgians are going to hate you after this interview.
That was what I said. I actually love Georgia and Georgians. I know they have a problem with us for some reason, but I think I'm a very neighborly person, and so I'm very happy for us to be friends, but we didn't write it. Whenever we have a journalist who comes in, we give them full editorial independence. That freedom lets them write honestly. I've had a journalist say, come with me, I want you to be there. And I'm like, no, because I will have an emotional stake. So I want you to be able to write what is the truth that you are saying. That is democracy. That is journalism. And without democracy and journalism, no government can survive and no people can survive.
Thank you for your frankness and the integrated approach to what Armenia stands for, Shant. Thank you.
Thank you.